Hey there, it's Cindy. So, this episode is a really good episode, and I am really looking forward to you hearing it. However, as you're listening to it, you may think, gosh, is Cindy drunk? Is she high on drugs? Nope. I just had a really bad internet connection. And Nicole informed me of that when she was editing the podcast. So I'm letting you know that I am not willing to discard this podcast because I think there's a lot of valuable information. And to please not hold it against me because my internet connection was so bad. I have fixed the issue and changed internet services since then. So hopefully we won't have this problem again. But please laugh, enjoy, get the information that you need out of the podcast. And thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Code 4 Couples podcast, focusing on topics for law enforcement officers and couples to keep you and your relationship connected, resilient, and Code 4. Now, your host, law enforcement expert Cindy Doyle, author of Hold the Line and My Wife.
Hey there, welcome back to Code 4 Couples. Today I have on Madison Ely Thompson. She is a licensed professional counselor in Maryland, which I found out where she is not far from where my husband grew up, just north of Baltimore. She specializes in trauma-informed care for first responders, veterans, healthcare professionals, and adults 18 and up. In other words, don't send your teenagers to her. She comes from a first responder family herself, which innately makes her a little bit more informed about our culture and what is going on with our relationships and the struggles that we experience. She is dedicated to working with first responders and the veteran community, and she's been so exclusively since 2018. So, Madison, thank you so much for coming on. I know we're going to have a fun conversation today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, really
Yeah.
excited.
What's it like there in Maryland right now? Because in Texas it's hot, and I'm hoping to live vicariously through you that it's not.
It's hot and swampy a little bit. Yeah, we got like 3 inches of rain last night, so I don't think you would be here either.
I know that you said you come from a first responder family. So does that mean like you were a first responder kid?
Yes, so first
Oh,
responder kid. Yeah, so my dad is a retired police officer after 28 years.
wow.
His brother and then one of my cousins, they are firefighters. My grandfather was a firefighter. So it runs pretty deep in my family. Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any siblings that or cousins, extended family that are fire or first responders as well?
Yeah, cousins also first responders, yep, firefighters and police. So there's the fun mix of both. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the family tradition. Oh, and the
Yes.
mix of both. So I bet they have, is there like some
Thanksgiving is fun. Yeah.
rivalry going on there?
There's always rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thing is that it's like a family rivalry, right? Among first
Yeah.
responders. But the thing is we always show up for each other, but
Yes.
we're also gonna rib you and give you a hard time. That just means we love you. Right.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So growing up in that environment, yeah, it was an easy transition to work with first responders for me. Yeah.
When you think of any kind of confrontation within the family, what I sometimes think of is that it's hard when you have a relationship where people are going off and you see them in small increments and small bites. And I was just thinking about the concept of family, and it's so easy to like have a brief little confrontation and throw it under the rug
Yeah.
and not want to deal with it.
Right.
Yeah, we all had that stuff, right?
No
Um,
apology, pretend it didn't happen. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and it winds up impacting family and relationships. I know that weirdly, I don't know why, I hear this a lot that people will say, sorry, like I run into you in the kitchen. My husband used to do this.
Mhm.
He would accidentally like nudge me in the kitchen and he'd be like, sorry. Or even now he'll come in here and I'll be busy doing something. He's like, do you need anything? I'm like, no. And then he'll look at me and say, sorry. I'm like, what is the sorry about? And at
Yeah.
some point in time in our relationship, I told him that I don't want to hear that unless he's really apologizing for something, because we would have arguments And I'll link the podcast below. There was a podcast with my husband and I where we were talking about arguments and how he would want to win the argument rather than like, how do we heal from the
Right.
argument?
Right.
One of the things that he had said is that as a first responder, he was taught you need to win. You win to go home. And I'm wondering if you see some of that when you're working with your first responders in therapy. Do you see some of that roll out when they're talking about their spouses or their family? Like, I don't understand. I always feel blamed. Why are they doing this to me? Do you hear some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like the need to win or the need to
Mm.
fight. And a lot of times I talk about like, okay, it's choosing the relationship over choosing or the need to be right. Like you need to choose to repair this instead of just, I need to be right. So I'm going to ignore this or I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing and not apologize, even if I did something wrong.
Yeah, I think the idea of maybe like winning, it's not exclusive to first responders. Let's say that, right?
Oh,
Like a lot of people are like,
yeah.
I'm going to win this argument. I'm like, what is the goal of winning this argument?
Right.
But it's like, I'm in it to win it. So
Yeah.
I think that probably bleeds over too.
Yeah.
What do you think gets in the way of people putting that winning aside? You know, what you said was really important. You said like choose the relationship, but for some reason, people aren't necessarily like, hey, I'm going to choose the relationship and put my stuff aside in order to make sure that this heals. What gets in the way of that in your mind?
I think one of the things that gets in the way is when you don't realize you're on the same team. In a relationship,
Mm.
you're on the same team. You're not against each other. So there isn't, you don't have to win. It's not a competition. A disagreement or a fight with family members, it's absolutely not a competition. You are on the same team.
Yeah, I think maybe people lose sight of that.
Yeah.
And I do think that part of, at least my opinion, I'm interested in yours. I think a part of that too is that when somebody confronts us with something, right? Normally, when we're having a confrontation, it's not because I'm confronting you because I feel loved and respected and valued. Like,
Right.
that's not why we're getting confronted.
Right.
We're getting confronted because something hurts or we want some change. Or, you know, sometimes it's the person doing the confronting that I'm not doing it as a complaint. I'm doing it as a criticism, throwing in some Gottman there. You know, it's like, you suck. Not really, right? As opposed to I'm feeling this way. You know, one people take better than the other. Right. But we naturally get defensive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to sit in criticism without getting defensive. It's really vulnerable to hear like, oh, I hurt somebody else or I did something wrong or I made a mistake or I hurt my loved one. That's not fun. No one likes it.
Do you think that some of that, I was just thinking about this as you're talking. Do you think some of that is because first responders automatically displace uncomfortable feelings as a part of their job?
I mean, it would definitely make it easier. Yeah. They do absolutely as a part of their job. And then, yeah, if you're not turning that off, if you're not present with your own emotions, if you're not like paying attention, it's easy to put that wall right back up and down completely. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of having this comment, and once again, other people do this too. But, you know, when you spend 12 hours a day, 3 to 4 times a week, right? Of like, let me box that feeling up.
Yeah.
Right. And you just said, well, there's a vulnerability there. And like definition of vulnerability is sitting in uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Kind of. So if I'm feeling uncomfortable, I was wondering like your thought on, you know, just throwing that in a box and moving on, like the rug thing, like sweep it under the rug, or like, I don't want to talk about it. That's the other thing
Yeah.
that people, I don't want to talk about this. I'm done. Conversation's
Right.
over.
Yeah. So quick to shut down, put that wall up. Yeah. Keep moving. Absolutely.
Yeah. Are there other ways that you think people shut down that confrontation or try to run away from those difficult conversations?
I think one of the other ways that like defensiveness will show up too is listening only to like point out inaccuracies. Like if someone is saying like, oh, you never unload the dishwasher. Well, then the other person is like, well, I did it last week. What do you mean? Like, so you're only listening to find what you can't agree with or what's wrong about what the other person is saying. Yeah. Instead of like going in with an open mind, like, all right, maybe I can find one thing that I can agree with that they're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, or listening to like what the real problem is, which that's just a problem in relationships in general. We complain about the dishwasher when what I really am complaining about is the fact that I don't feel like we're a team, like you
Right.
said a minute ago, right? It's funny when you just said that because one of the things in doing couples therapy many times, I will say this is not an interrogation or an investigation. It's
Yeah.
not a matter of whether or not that person is correct. It's what they're feeling.
Right.
And that's hard to kind of like, I don't want to see that that's their reality because the reality might be false, right? According to you.
Right. Or it's not a shared reality. Yeah.
Yeah. So conflict gets in the way of our relationships. And, when we have our relationships as one of the number one resilience factors, right? Research based, then relationships are really important. How do you mentioned something about like sitting in vulnerability. It sounds like there's maybe some processes that have to happen to move this around. So we're going to move it around from like, hey, oh, I forgot. One other one that I thought of is spinning it around into victimhood. I guess I just suck,
Yeah.
right? Or I guess
Yeah.
I'm a horrible wife or a horrible husband. That's the other
Yeah.
defense mechanism that I was going to mention.
Mhm. Yeah.
So there's probably a good process. I know you want to talk about that in our first responder relationships. How do we get people to understand the benefit of the apology or the benefit of repairing, either
Yeah.
one, right? And how to do it. So maybe we should talk about how to do it first and
Yeah.
what's uncomfortable. Why don't we just do this all the time?
Okay. So, well, first, no one teaches you how to apologize or what's a correct apology. The normal thing is like when you're a kid and you push someone on the playground, it's like, okay, apologize to Timmy, say you're sorry. But what does that actually mean? That's how we go through life apologizing to people. Or often, like you were talking about with your husband, we'll apologize at all the wrong times or just for everything when we're not actually sorry, and it waters it down. So there are 9 ingredients of a true apology that Harriet Lerner talks about. Yeah.
Holy. If you
Christ,
saw
yeah.
my eyes, my face, if you're watching this on
Yeah.
YouTube, you'll be like, oh, Cindy just was shocked. I'm now getting a pen and paper to write
There's
down these 9
criteria for
aspects.
a good apology. Yes.
All right. All right. Buckle in.
The first one is a true apology does not include the word but. So if you say, I'm sorry, I forgot to call you, but you didn't remind me, that doesn't mean anything. The word but just negated the entire apology. There's no point in apologizing if you're going to try and justify it or put it on the other person.
Because basically everything after the but is my defensiveness that I wanted to bring out anyway,
Yeah.
right? Like, let me
Yeah.
defend my behavior and action and ignore what you're feeling. I got it. All right. That's good. So no buts. Okay.
No buts. No buts. The second one, this one gets me the most, but it is a true apology keeps the focus on your actions and not the other person's response. So own your shit and be accountable for your behavior. Apologize for what you've said, not what the other person is feeling or how you have like impacted them. So you can't say, I'm sorry, you felt hurt when I corrected your story in front of everyone. No, and don't be sorry that like they're feeling hurt. They're allowed to feel hurt. Apologize for your behavior. Own your part in it. That one just, that gets me. It's so invalidating to hear someone say, I'm sorry that you were upset by the joke that I made. No, apologize for the joke.
Do you think so? You said it gets you. So it gets you because you don't like to hear it, or it bothers you when people are like, I'm sorry for your feelings, or I'm sorry I made you feel that way. On the receiving end of that, too, it's like you said, it invalidates the feeling. It's like, no, it's about your behavior, not.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I like
Yeah.
that. So own
Yeah.
your shit, own your actions. Okay.
Yep. The next one is it includes an offer of reparation or restitution to fix the situation. So how do you make this right? If I lose a hat that you let me borrow, I'm going to replace the hat. And then it also says, okay, if in the future, I need to also show like understanding of that hurt. And if I'm apologizing for not inviting you to something, then I'm going to make sure that in the future I include you or I invite you. So it's looking towards the future as well.
I wrote down offer to make it right, but back it up, right? At the same time, like it actually has to happen. You can't just go, oh, I'll make sure you're invited in the future and then like not do it. I'm going to go through these. I want to come back to that one.
Yeah.
Because I'll just say it. So my thought here is it's like, how many times have you heard people sarcastically make an offer? And I was wondering, like, what does it sound like? Especially if you don't agree with it. We're going to come back to that. Number 4.
Yeah. Number 4, doesn't overdo. So the apology, a true apology doesn't overdo. So the first is don't apologize for everything all the time. So if you apologize for everything all the time, like your husband was apologizing for all these little things that didn't need an apology, right? It waters it down. So that overdoes the word or the words, I'm sorry. When in reality, for a lot of those things, we can just say, thank you.
Or excuse me.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah. Or like, if someone does the awkward, like holding the door thing when you're just too far away, you'll find so many people saying like, oh, rushing and being like, oh, I'm so sorry. When in reality, you can just say, oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Standing there for an awkward amount of time and holding that door open for me.
So it's almost like you keep the word almost, I'm going to say sacred in a way. Like you because if you say it too much, it's meaningless. Got it.
Yes. The other part of it doesn't overdo is it should fit the behavior. So it shouldn't be this long-winded apology for, failing to return something. It's not like I'm not going to apologize for that in the same way that I would if I hit you with my car. Like you shouldn't be falling apart because you did something small. That's not okay.
I get that. Do you see me? I'm like chomping at the bit because my thought was, this is where I recently received like an apology. I'm going to say it that way. But I was like, you had ChatGPT write this, didn't you? Because it was too much. It was too much for what was, I was like, what is all this? All you can say is like, you know what? I get that. I understand.
Yep.
Thank you for letting me know. I will adjust it. But instead it was this really elaborate kind of thing, which felt like crap.
That's another thing. If you're not following like the criteria, you're just really making it worse. So any of these things, if you're overdoing it, it makes it so much worse and making the problem even bigger.
Okay. Number 5.
It doesn't get caught up in who's more to blame or who started it. So this one, big. Okay. So remember, you're on the same team and apologize for your part in the problem, even if the other person can't see their part. It's not a competition. They're on their own journey. They're doing their own work. They need to figure out and see their own part, but that doesn't need to hold you back. You can still apologize for your part and not have to wait on them to see their part first.
Wow. You are asking people to do some hard work, like
so much
to take their ownership, but not expecting it in return.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's in the way is this is a lot of work. It takes a lot of insight and a lot of work.
You're like, do the heavy lifting is what I was just thinking. Okay. Number 6.
So it requires that you do your best to avoid a repeat performance. Your apology means nothing if you continue the behavior. Don't even say it if you're not going to put in the work to change your behavior moving forward.
God dang, that's key. I think that one is that pivot point, if you think of a tipping point, whatever you want to say there.
Yeah.
Because you're right that, so 2 things. Oh my gosh, all these are so important. But the idea that if you do it again, then the original thing is, it's like, why? And what do you see as the consequence in relationships when, let's say, people do honestly apologize, but then there's a repeat? What do you think happens in relationships?
Oh, you absolutely lose trust. The trust just gets
Mm,
chipped away a little bit at a time every time you're continuing that behavior because you're making this promise that I'm going to change and I'm going to do something different or I'm not going to hurt you in this same
mm,
way. And you
mhm.
on your word. How can someone trust the I'm sorry?
You're spot on. I was trying to find that in the idea of like trust. And trust is so important in our relationships because we don't see each other very often. So yeah. All right. So we got number 6. Do your best for no repeat performance. We're not asking for perfection there,
Right.
right?
Right.
She's not asking for perfection. It's just do your best. Okay. Number 7.
So a true apology should not serve to silence. So you're not apologizing just to shut the other person up or end the conversation. That is not how an apology works. Just because you're feeling flooded, you're overwhelmed. If I say I'm sorry, then we can stop talking about this. Nope, that's not how this works.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Like, I'm just going to apologize. But then it
Right.
has no meaning, right? And so then maybe the repeat performance comes about.
Yep.
But yes, just to shut up. Okay. So I'm going to go a different direction.
Mhm.
What if, because I see this in relationships, what if you go ahead and take ownership just to repair the connection?
Then, I mean, I would always ask, like, okay, did you even have control over that thing? Are you apologizing for something you didn't have control over? If you're taking ownership for something that wasn't really your fault, your responsibility, you had no control over it, that kind of will break the trust too, because you're setting yourself up for failure. Because
Mm,
the next
mhm.
time this happens, and it's going to happen again, you still won't have control over it.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. I'm kind of thinking of like sometimes in relationships, we feel uncomfortable when there's conflict. And so one party might say, well, let me find something to take ownership of. So I'm going to go worst case scenario and say, I'm so sorry I didn't have the kids quiet when you got home. Right? You're just like jumping on that one. Go for it. What do you want to say?
Can't control the kids being quiet. They're kids. First of all, they're kids. They're going to be loud. Second of all, you can't control, the octave that the kids are screaming at. It just doesn't work like that. Like you can say like, all right, mommy's coming home. Like, let's calm down, whatever. You can try and set it up for success, but you have no control over whether a kid is or is not screaming at that point in time. They have their own voice.
And I think part of that too is it's like, the problem wasn't that I didn't have the quote unquote kids quiet, right? The problem was your reaction when you came in the door.
Yes.
That's the problem. But I will find sometimes that couples will find a way, or one of the partners will find a way to like, how do I break through this so I can repair? Because this is uncomfortable for me too.
Right.
And so if I go ahead and apologize for something, then maybe the strain between us gets broken, but then the person with the behavior doesn't have any ownership. Like it goes backwards to like one of
Right.
the things that you said, right? Because you said you have to take ownership and then work to not repeat it. But instead, now the focus is in the wrong place because now I'm
Absolutely.
focusing on, oh, I need to repair what I do so you don't get upset
Yeah.
and then you don't have to take ownership. All right.
And then
We're
everyone
probably a
else is
little off
walking on
track.
eggshells and that's
Yes.
unhelpful. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. It just came to mind. I thought I'd roll with it. So there you go. It doesn't serve to silence is number 7. All
Right.
right. Number 8. We got 2 more.
So it shouldn't be offered to make you feel better if it risks making the other party hurt worse or feel worse.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
not an apology if you are just apologizing to make yourself feel better or get rid of the guilt that you're feeling. If the other person doesn't want to see you, doesn't want to hear from you, has set a boundary, then you need to respect those. The apology isn't about you. It's really about repairing that relationship or the other person.
Wow. Okay. I like that. I was just thinking of a personal situation with my friend that she was sharing with me yesterday.
Yeah.
And that really applies because my friend set a boundary. And so then the other friend like backtracked and was like, I'm so sorry. And then to try to break her boundary. Say that one again. It's not about you feeling better and getting rid of guilt. Maybe that
Right.
goes along with what I was saying just a minute ago about keeping the kids quiet then too.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't say sorry just to like calm the situation down.
Yeah.
That's not for. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Number 9.
Number 9 is you don't ask the hurt party to do anything, not even to forgive. So if you're going to apologize, it is with no expectation. This is not a bargaining chip where you're expecting to get something else in return. That's not how this works. It is just, it's not an end to the conversation. Like, oh, I apologize. We're done talking about this. Really, this is just the opening, the beginning. This is de-escalating things so that you guys can continue to talk about this and resolve this problem. But forgiveness is not a requirement. There's not a requirement from the other person.
So it's not reciprocal. It's about you.
Right.
This is really like an individual thing is what I hear. It's not about like if you and I are having a conversation, Madison, and I'm going to say, well, you need to apologize. And so now I'm trying to get you to go through this process. It's not about holding you accountable. It's about an individual having insight and being able to have some compassion or trying to connect and realize how they've hurt the other person and impacted the team. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if the other person needs to own their part, if they had a part in the problem, that's totally fine, but they've got work to do on their own. It's with no expectations that they're there yet. They see that or they can recognize that work, but that shouldn't hold your own progress back.
That's important. I think what you said was really important. Just because the other person doesn't do something doesn't hold your own progress back. I think many times when as a couple, sometimes people are saying, well, my significant other, partner, whoever, won't come to couples therapy. And I'm like, there's so many different things you can do independently to influence your relationship. And once you start doing some of those things, then it influences your partner. And I know at least that's how it worked in my relationship. So, and I hear that in others too. So if you want to take ownership and you want to move into that apology and try to see like, is there something I need to own here? This is something that individually you can do, but oh gosh, not expecting it to be reciprocal is really difficult.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So hard not to have expectations. Yeah.
Yes. And especially when you said vulnerable, right? So when you're putting yourself out there and it's kind of like you want that to be matched up because I don't want to be like left standing in my underwear or naked.
Right.
And then my person doesn't say like, yeah, I'm not into standing naked with you. I'm like, what? No, don't leave me here by myself.
You apologizing, you putting this work in, it's only going to serve you in your growth and your emotional maturity, like in your own journey. And if someone else isn't willing to do the same, then that's on them. We can't control that.
All right. So I had two little things that I thought of while we were talking. I said, I'll come back to them, right?
Indeed.
How do I get past if I'm wanting to apologize, but my apology is like couched in a giant eye roll? How do I move it from being maybe sarcastic to something that's more genuine?
So it kind of feels like judgment to me, like the eye
Oh
roll.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. You're
That's what it
judging
is.
the other person for feeling however they're feeling. So you need to leave your
Right.
judgment at the door. Like you need to check that and wait to apologize until you can get that under control and hopefully see like, okay, the other person's perspective. And maybe it wasn't my intention to hurt them, but that was the impact and I need to respect that.
I think that you nailed it, but judgment is so spot on because that's what I'm doing. Like, well, I'm sorry you can't take a joke, right?
Right.
That's what I was thinking of. When I'm like, I'm sorry you're so sensitive, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Okay, so staying out of judgment of judging their experiences and instead going different direction. All right, here's number 2.
Yeah.
What if you think they're full of crap? What if you totally disagree with what they are hurt by? Like, that did not happen. We're not trying to like mess with somebody's reality. By the way, I think gaslight's an overused word, but yeah, I'm not trying to spin the reality. I'm not trying to say that didn't happen. But at the same time, in my mind, I'm like, what reality were you living in? That did not happen. Right.
Yeah.
So here's one of mine.
Okay.
Is that my husband, thank God my husband is fine with me sharing stories. My husband will accuse me of well, you weren't listening. And I'm like,
Mhm.
mm, mm, Now, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I
Mhm.
am distracted. Sometimes I am half listening to him. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how this is relevant and I have tuned out. Like sometimes that is part of things. What I have found or what we have found is that sometimes we will not be on the same page.
Mhm.
Like I'm on a different line of thought and he's on a different line of thought, but he accuses me of not quote unquote listening. And in my
Yep.
mind, I'm like, no, I did listen. That is, I totally don't agree with that. Right. Or maybe I said something and I'm like, I, I didn't say it that way. Now I can be sharp. I have admitted that, but so that's what I wind up apologizing for. Like maybe my tone was not correct and I understand my tone. I need to work on that. Like that is something.
Yeah.
But what do we do if we're like, you are not on the same planet as I was in that conversation or in that event? How do I move past that?
Think I would have a conversation more about like that miscommunication and the fact that we weren't on the same page than I would offer an apology. Because if you're
Oh,
truly feeling like I'm not sorry for this, like I like we had a miscommunication, that's a mistake, things happen, and if you're not feeling internally like I don't really know if I did anything wrong, it was just a mess all the way around, then I would say just push the apology aside for a second, see if
okay.
you later, but have the conversation about that miscommunication instead of like,
Okay.
I'm sorry, or saying when you really don't mean it or didn't think it, like, I'm sorry that I wasn't listening. But you're like, I was listening. I was here. We were just had like same
Right.
plan, two different ideas. Yeah.
There's a difference there in the miscommunication. The word that came to mind to me too was maybe there's a curiosity.
Yeah.
Like help me understand that
Yes.
that's how you saw things.
Mhm.
Maybe that's part of it too, as opposed to because there are times where I'm like, that was not my reality. And I know I've had couples that are like, what? Like
Right.
that's what you experienced? And
Right.
and the person really genuinely thinks A, that was not my intention, or B, that didn't happen. Maybe there is a curiosity there. And people really do mean like, oh, that must be nice. But I hear it as sarcasm
Yeah.
and like passive aggressive behavior. I might take it as like, well, you were mean or whatever you said. And you're like, I said that must be nice. Like, what is going on here? So
Right.
that
And
maybe is an
typically you
example,
meant,
but
yeah.
wow. Okay, wow. This is a heavy bite, guys. And I'm going to go through them. You don't have to have them memorized, but I'm just going to review them and let me know if there's anything in here that I missed. But I will link to my blog down below. And actually, I think this would be a great little handout too.
Yeah.
If y'all
Yeah.
want it, it'll be in the show notes along with a link to Madison's information if you want to connect with her or any of the resources she gives me. But okay, so number one is don't include the but. That's an easy one for me. That's like the yes butting thing. I get that.
Yep.
We can all do that, right? Number two, own the action. What's the action, not their feelings. Focus on what is the action that you need to own. Do I have that right? Is that good?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Number
were behind.
three, you need to offer to make it right.
Yeah.
So offer to repair, make it right in some way. I love this one. Number four, don't do it. You know,
Yes.
the apology needs to match I'm going to call it the injury,
Yeah.
right? So if I have a little scratch, I don't need a cast.
Right.
That's a good way I think of remembering that. Like if I have a scratch, I don't need 10 staples to close the wound. And I get that because I think part of that makes it disingenuous. All right. Number five, stay out of blame. And I said, because you're on the same team is how I said it.
Yeah. I think that's perfect.
Okay. Number six, do your best to not have a repeat performance. Perfection's not required,
Right.
but striving for excellence would be.
Yeah.
Okay. Number seven, an apology cannot serve to silence the other person. So you're not doing it in order to just get them to shut up.
Yes.
Okay. Number eight, it's not about you feeling better and trying to get rid of your own guilt. And number 9 is that don't expect an apology in return. Oh, that's so hard. That it's about you owning and cleaning up your side of the street and not doing it because you think the other person's going to clean up their side of the street as well.
Right. Or they should offer forgiveness.
Okay. All right. I got it. When you are working with people, out of these, what do you think trips people up the most?
Number 7, shouldn't serve to silence. With a lot of individuals who will apologize just to be done, just to stop the conversation, like they're flooded, they're overwhelmed, they just want to get out of this.
Yeah.
I see that one a lot. And then I would say, but a lot of but. Like
a lot of buts.
A lot of buts. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but yeah, that one.
Part of it too is sometimes maybe you don't get all 9 of these at one time. That's okay. Try doing 1 or 2, right? And try managing to identify what that behavior is. When you're thinking of that defensiveness that comes up, I think there also has to be like, take some breaths. I think that, and if you're feeling fight or flight, that's probably not the best time to do an apology, I would think.
No, absolutely not. No, please don't do it. Yeah. Because you don't have access to that prefrontal cortex where all your healthy communication skills live. That goes offline when you're in fight or flight. So you don't have access to the 9 ingredients of a true apology. That's not, no. So don't do it.
So if you're in a situation, make sure that you give yourself, or give your partner, your spouse, or husband, wife, whoever it is, kids, space to calm down and give them a chance to come back with the apology. Or if you're making the apology, calm down, think it through, go through these steps and determine how you can best make that apology and heal the relationship.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's absolutely okay to take breaks if you're feeling flooded, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you need time to calm yourself down. Yeah.
This is a really helpful skill. I don't think I realized there were 9 steps. And while it seems overwhelming, some of them can get ingrained quite quickly. It's just some of them may be like, okay, that one might be a little harder, but it's very thorough. And if you do these, I imagine that you'll be able to repair with that person and have that team like you talked about.
Right. I mean, at least you give yourself the best chance because, there's 2 people in the relationship. The other person has to do their part as well, but at least you're putting the work in and that's all you can control.
Yeah. How do people get a hold of you if they want to connect?
So they can get a hold of me through my email or through my website.
So I will link Madison's website. If you were looking for a clinician in Maryland, she is, I assume, available or can direct you other places. But my gosh, this was really helpful for a relationship and how it can impact. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for letting me share this. I'm excited.
You're welcome. Yeah. So guys, I am going to make sure that this is a opt-in, a freebie for you. So if you want this, click in the show notes on your device and it will take you to a page where you can download it. Also, while you're on the device there, if you want to give me a thumbs up or a review or anything like that, that's really helpful. Or if this is really helpful, maybe you know someone who needs to start taking ownership and apologize and their stuff, forward it and send it to somebody, not in a passive aggressive way. Maybe it's something you use with kids, use with family, use with a friend, and help them to take ownership too. So guys, hope this was helpful. And until next time, I hope y'all keep it Code 4. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. For more information about the podcast or Cindy, check out code4couples.com. All intellectual property rights owned by CRLD2 Ventures, LLC, are protected by the firm of 9mm, 45 ACP, 5.56mm, and 12 gauge.